Yeah, it's your boy AG Cornerman Boxing. I have the honor today to be here with Coach Mike Stafford out of Cincinnati, world-renowned cornerman. I'm saying it's an honor to have you. So how you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good. It's fight day. We're in a beautiful casino, and I'm meeting some people that I haven't seen in quite a while, and it's gonna be a good fight night. Gary Russell, he's a respectful world champion, and he's fighting a tough kid, so it's gonna be a good night.
Right. Any predictions on how that might play out? Or any thoughts like that?
Well, my thing is, Gary's is more experienced, as you know, and and the kid is hungry, so it's evenly matched. So at this point, they just have to make the adjustments as the fight goes.
Right. Now you're working Evan Holyfield's corner tonight?
Yeah, Evan Holyfield. I had him in last 5 fights, and he's a game kid. If people ask me, is he like his dad? I say, he's come from his dad, but he got his own style.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
How would you describe, his progress into the pro ranks and all of that?
It's been good. We're moving him slow. That's because of his pedigree. And we don't want to push him out there too fast and make the wrong move. But as we move him, he learning. And that's the key. He's a good learner.
Absolutely. Do you know anything much about his opponent tonight? How do you see that playing out?
He seemed like a game kid. He seemed like he took the fight, and I know when he took the fight, he's coming to win. So I heard he was an MMA fighter, and but he had some pro fights, but other than that, he's a game kid.
Right. Now, how long have you been involved in the sport of boxing, Coach?
Wow. I don't think. How old are you? 35?
32.
You wasn't even born yet.
Oh, man. And what got you involved? What made you fall in love with it, man?
Well, you know what? It's funny. Everybody asks me that because I never really actually boxed for as competition, but I trained and I was kind of the fighter. That was one of my fighters. I hung out with the fighters, trained with the fighters when it was coming up, like Aaron Pryor, Reggie Myers, and stuff like that. He was one of my best friends. But Cincinnati's built up a lot of good. At that time, back in the '70s, Cincinnati was built on tough fighters, all athletes and stuff. So I was a baseball player, football player, and I also, when I was young, I trained at a local gym called Lincoln Center. It's called Queen City now, but it was Lincoln Center. And we trained, and after we play basketball, we go down to the gym and box a little bit,
right,
stuff
right.
like that. And and then our neighborhoods, all the ex-fighters, the fighters, they were the ex now, some of them dead. They used to come home and put the gloves on us, and we, what I'm saying? So I always was a fighter. I always loved with boxing, always, from Muhammad Ali days to Joe Louis and all the guys. But make a long story short, I got into boxing because my son, I taught him, how to protect himself. So with that said, I was like, one day he was, because I raised my son and he stayed with me. He had a fight. He had a fight and he was shooting dice.
Wow.
And Mike was 14 at the time, 13, 14, and he was shooting dice with the older guys. So he won, and the older guys wanted to take his money. They said, they wanted to get his money back. So Mike, they got into a scuffle and he beat the guy up, sent the guy to the hospital.
Wow.
And they knocked on my door and said, Mr. Staff, he said, his name Mike Jr., so he said, Big Mike, and I was Big Mike, he was Little Mike. He said, Big Mike, Little Mike, the police came and he beat up the guy, and such and such and such, and the guy went to the hospital. I said, oh my God, I said, I'm gonna have a case on my hands, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it went on. He didn't come home that night. He went over his little girlfriend's house, which stayed in the neighborhood. So I said, I was worried all night. We didn't know where he was at. So that time in the morning, he called and they told me what really happened. The guy was 22 years old, and he was 14 at the time. He beat him up, put him in the hospital.
Wow.
And still today, I see that guy. And so, but anyway, that next week, I said, I'm not gonna let him get in the streets like I was. I want him, if he gonna fight, I want him to put it to use So I had a local friend that I worked with the post office. I was working at the post office at the time, and he was he's a world-renowned trainer, and he kind of told me, bring him down there, bring him to the gym with me. And then on, I got down to the gym, put him in the gym, but he already knew how to do combinations, jab and stuff like that.
The basics.
Basic stuff. So, and he turned out to be, one of the top amateurs that in Cincinnati.
Wow.
He come up around the time Floyd did.
Wow.
Yeah, he was on the team, Floyd and them, they, regional teams with Floyd and them. So he's same age as Floyd. So he was in that era.
Wow.
So yeah. So he didn't make the Olympic team and stuff like that. But that's how I got in boxing.
That's amazing.
Helped out. I seen that he was by himself and he had a whole bunch of kids. I said, damn, this guy don't got no help. So I started carrying the bucket. Next thing you know, I was on top, in the ring, and I learned a lot from my friend, which was called Mazan Kemp back then. His name was Mazan Kemp, and he taught me a lot. And then I, coming to different tournaments, amateur tournaments, I was learning, and hey,
you just took off from there. Right. Now, you've also been involved a lot with kids in the community,
Yes.
keeping kids out of trouble. I know you're pretty big on that.
Yes.
You can just touch on that a little bit, your experiences, how you helped them and stuff like that.
And that's one of the things that we did when we was coming up. Our coaches, they brought us in their homes, like the football coach, like we would play for a championship, he would bring us, or even on a big game night, he would take us, the whole starting team, he would take to his house, and we sleep over his house, have a sleepover, and be ready for the game, for the weigh-ins.
Right.
Baseball, he would pick us up, baseball, because back then, our baseball coach was our football coach and basketball coach. So
wow.
we didn't have all the coaches that they had nowadays. Everybody got different coaches for different sports. He did everything. His whole life was involved in coaching, and so I learned a lot from him how to mentor kids because I paid attention, and that's what it was. I paid attention, and that's why I'm here today. I respected him so much, and he taught so much. So that's what I do. I give back. It's called giving back because I come up in the inner city. Neighborhood, and so once I got to a gym, my gym at that time was in the city, so I did the same thing he was doing, what I'm saying, and picked up what he did,
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? What kind of message would you have for kids, who may be watching this, stay out of trouble and, maybe get in the gym or do whatever it is they got to do, to stay out the streets and out of trouble?
Well, people want to say this and say that, but you got to realize sports saved my life. If without sports, I would be, no telling where I would be, in jail, dead, or whatever. But it saved my life. And some people may not be good in sports. Some people might be good in schoolwork. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you're good at, let that be. Don't try to be more than what you are. Stay in your lane and try to, do what you, be a good person. You know what I'm saying? Good things will happen to you.
Absolutely. And from a technical standpoint, like for boxers, what do you think they got to work on? Well, what advice would you give young fighters coming up in the game?
Well, don't let's look at the Floyd Mayweathers and Adrian Bronner and the Earl Spence because they worked hard.
Right.
Look, when you look at them, look them up. Look what they did in the amateurs. Look what they went through with the amateurs. How they respected their coach. How they respected the gym. Don't look at them as millionaires or something. Just look at them how they got there, how they got to where they is now.
Absolutely.
Look at them when they was young. You know what I'm saying? And then it'll ring a bell. But if you look at them now, then next thing you know, you'll be want to be like them. And you can't be like them unless you do the work, the hard work.
Right.
You got to put the work in.
There's levels as well. You can't think you at the top, you know what I'm saying? You got to go through those first stages, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, Coach. Man, thank you so much for all your information, Coach. You know what I'm saying? Where can we follow you on social media?
Just basically, I'm on Facebook.
Facebook?
Coach Mike, yeah.
All right.
I don't do that. I got Instagram, but I don't too much use
Right.
it.
You don't use it too much.
Yeah.
And speaking of Broly, is there any news on him? Anything
Well,
coming
we're
up?
trying to get him back in, and I would say about 90 days. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
90 days. We're trying to get him back in and get him a win, and who knows? You know, he got two or three fights still left in him.
Right. I mean,
Get
the
him a
fans.
world. We chasing another world champion.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
all
we
right.
definitely
There you go.
We definitely chasing another world champion. You know what I'm
Nice.
saying?
That's great to hear, man. I love you guys. You know what I'm saying? You guys are real. I love what you guys do back home in the community. So
Right.
it's only right that we got some words from you and share it to the public.
I
you know what I'm saying?
appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Coach. God bless you. Wish you the best tonight and the rest
Same
of your
to you.
career. Thank
Happy
you, bro.
New Year. All right.
God bless.